And welcome back, and it is the higher plus 5 a day for the 12th of April. If you've been following along this month, and if this is the first video you've watched, please do go back because it's worth it. These questions have definitely been much more challenging. So the first 3 months, not too bad, a little bit more tricky. These have been a lot harder. So let's see what we've got in store today. Right, f of x equals this times this, given that, find a. Having said that, this one's not too bad, is it? So I'm going to put 0 into here. And then I know that when I put 0 into here, I get 18. So in other words, 0 plus 5, I don't really need to write this step, but I'll do it anyway. And 0 plus 3a is equal to 18. So 5 times 3a is equal to 18, which means that 15a is equal to 18, which means that a equals 18 over 15. Now it doesn't say simplest form, but it's good practice. So divide both sides by, or divide top and bottom by 3, and that gives you 6 over 5. First question done. That wasn't too bad. Having said this has been really difficult. I presume it's going to get a bit harder. Next one. 2 consecutive positive integers are multiplied together. The result is added to the larger of the 2 integers, right? Prove the answer is a square number. Okay, so let values be n. Now we've got 2 consecutive positive integers, so n and n plus 1. Then what I'm doing is I'm multiplying them together. So this is the maths bit. So n times n plus 1 plus the larger of the 2 integers, so plus n plus 1. And I need to show that's a square number. Now, if you do further maths, you might know how to do this next bit more quickly, but I'm going to expand it and show you anyway. So that's going to be n squared plus n plus plus 1, which is n squared plus 2n plus 1, which is n plus 1 squared, which is a square number. In other words, it's got a squared at the end, so it's a square number. So therefore, I've proven that to be true. That's quite a difficult question. As an aside, if you do further maths, at this stage here, what you could do is you could factorise out the n plus 1, and that leaves behind an n plus 1, and that gives you the same answer. But obviously, don't worry if you did the slightly longer method. Next question. Okay, so what do we have? So we have the relationship that a is directly proportional to the cube root of b, which means I can write the equation that a equals k times the cube root of b. So this is my relationship, this is my equation. And then it says, oh actually I thought we were going to put some numbers in, but I'm not. Find the percentage increase in a if b is increased by 30%. Right, so my a new, it's clever this, I like these questions, is equal to k times the value of b, but I'm increasing b, increasing b by 30%. Now, with surds, in exactly the same with square roots, I can take the number out. So that is the same as the cube root of 1.3 times k times the cube root of b. In other words, I've taken the 1.3 out. Now, if I get my calculator out, the cube root of 1.3, there is a cube root on your calculator. So the cube root of 1.3 is 1.09139. So I'm going to write that down. So 1.09139. But the bit that's clever is that is the same as how I defined a here. So I can say that this is the same as a. So my new a is my old a times the multiplier 1.09139, which is the same as a 9.139% increase. That's a difficult question. I know a lot of people find that difficult. Work it through, check you're okay with it. This has become quite common as a question, by the way, so do make sure you're okay with it. Next question, and I think final question today. A solid glass paperweight has a mass of this. The glass has a density of this. The paperweight is a hemisphere. Find x. Oh, okay. This is not too bad, is it? I'm going to use the formula that density equals mass over volume. And then I'm going to remember what am I trying to do. So it tells me the mass and it tells me the density. So therefore I know what the volume is. So the volume is going to be the mass over the density. Check your units here. So everything's in grams and centimeters cubed. Okay, so it's 500 grams divided by 3.5, which is going to be, well, 500 divided by 3.5 on my calculator is 142.857. Because I'm using this number to calculate it, I'm going to use more decimal points than I need. So 142.857 centimeters cubed using the units in the question. And then I know that the volume of the hemisphere, is a half of 4/3 pi r cubed. which is the volume of a sphere. And that's equal to 142.857. And my r is here, my x. So in other words, the x is the r that I need. So let's do some rearranging. So therefore my x cubed is going to be, well, a half times 4/3 is 2/3. So keep change flip is going to be 3/2 times 1/pi, because I'm dividing by pi, times 142.857. And again, if you're not sure what I did there, just pause it. If you really can't see it, let me know. Put it in the comments, I'll explain that a bit better. Either way, calculator out. So I'm going to do 142.857 times 1.5, or 3/2, and then divide that by pi. And that gives me 68.2092. Now, I'm still got that on my screen, so I'm still looking at it on my screen because I need this now, because that's x cubed. So therefore, x is the cube root of this, so cube root answer, and that gives me 4.085837739, which I'm going to say is 4.09 centimetres, and that's the point there. Actually, I thought that question was okay, but it was quite a tough question. So if you got that again, well done. Indeed, actually, if you've been following along all of this month and getting them all right, genuinely well done. These are tough questions, but you know, really good stead for the exam if you can follow along with all these. Either way, like, subscribe, let me know how you did, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks all.